Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MMA Island Podcast. I am Jack Kennedy alongside Mace Martinez, and today we are joined by a man that needs no introduction, UFC legend, tough winner, Hall of Famer, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez. It's an honor to be talking with you, and thank you so much for joining us right now.
Thank you, too. I appreciate the offer.
I'm Jack Kennedy, and they hit a lot harder, in my opinion, too.
Mace Martinez.
He put Aldo stiff in 13 seconds before Bruce Buffer could even plant his ass in his seat.
I'm Keelan McNamara. He is here to stay, and I see him being a huge problem.
And this is the MMA Island Podcast. So, Diego, the first thing I wanted to kind of mention is that you're an inspiration to so many people. So many fans across the world look up to you. You inspire Mace and I and everything. It's just you have such a great fan base across the world. What are some of your best experience that you've had with fans throughout your career?
That's a great question. And it's hard to dial it in because I've had so many great experiences with so many different fans, from the great kind people of Montreal, Canada, to the awesome people of Mexico City, to all over the world, and different cultures, different fans, different people. But I've had so many great experiences. My favorite was the people of Mexico City. Just the energy that I felt out there, it was amazing, and that was my favorite.
Awesome. So, Diego, you got some competition coming up. I think February 6th against Jake Shields, the High Rollers 4 Jiu-Jitsu, I guess, in Las Vegas. So I read that the winner of this gets a literal pound of marijuana and also a belt. So, what are your thoughts on the matchup with Jake Shields, and what do you think of the prizes?
You know what? It is what it is, and the prizes they differ from different people have different deals. And my deal is a private deal. That's my business, and I like to keep my business private. But High Rollers, I love doing business with them. Wiz Khalifa's going to be there. Tyron Woodley, Big Lon is Wiz Khalifa's manager, and he started the company. Mighty Matt from Las Vegas. They got the High Rollers. They got their own event, their own venue. They're doing some big things, and with all the medicinal marijuana in California, and it's blowing up, and it's jiu-jitsu and marijuana culture, as far as something that helps with the pains of being a competitive athlete. Jiu-jitsu comes with a lot of injuries, man, and so the medicine helps get you through those hard times.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been in a lot of fights, some of the biggest fights in the UFC's history. How do you recover, and not just physically, but mainly mentally, going into a fight week following either a massive win or a loss?
Well, everyone's different. For me, I treat every fight the same, every competition the same, to go in there at my best, and the training. It's all in the training, that makes the confidence. If you do the right thing, you're gonna have that confidence. If you don't do the right thing, you're gonna be doubtful. And so that's where the real mental preparation comes in. Yes, I have some School of Self-Awareness meditations that I do that help keep my mind and tune it in even better. But it's all about the training and coming in confident and doing what you got to do the right way and making it to the event injury-free.
Yeah, so you mentioned the School of Self-Awareness. What can you tell us about it? And, speak a little bit on what Joshua means to you, and how have you benefited from it, at this point in your career?
Well, School of Self-Awareness is school about awareness and learning to become aware about yourself and the actions and the decisions and how you live your life and down to the basics, and down to the basics of breathing, moving, healing, training. And it's definitely been the one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. And Joshua, as a great mentor, as a martial artist, he is the best martial artist that I've ever came across in my life. Man, he's taught me some of the best wrestling takedowns, to some of the best Muay Thai striking, to working my eyes, working my brain, working everything. And so it's been a transformation for me. And that's what School of Self-Awareness is about also, is the transformational process of going inside yourself and cleaning and healing yourself from the inside out, and learning about yourself and learning who you really are.
Yeah, and just kind of piggybacking off of that, how do you feel Joshua Fabia has been able to really evolve your fight game since you've been training with him?
Well, the number one thing is obviously the defense, man, because my whole life, my whole martial arts career, I never ever was taught to stand up proper. I was a predator like this. I was a predator, a wrestler, just with my head down. And you know what? You put your head down, you're gonna go down, man. And I had to learn how to erect myself, and to become a real true human being, and lean on my own spine. And I learned how to lean on my own spine, so that I could see things coming. And if something was coming, I would move. I can move, knowing that I could move now. Before, it was just go forward. And you know what? If you get caught with one, you better tough that out, and you better go to the next thing. And so now with my newfound defensive skills and strategies, if you haven't noticed, there's been a lot of guys out there. If you watch Conor McGregor get knocked out in the first round, there's many other fighters out there that are just getting clearly hurt, man, knocked out bad. And me, at 39 years old of age, and in the last part of my career, I'm not getting knocked out. Right. I'm not getting finished. And I may have lost some of these fights, but I'm not getting destroyed in there. I'm not getting slaughtered. And I think that says a lot for the defense that I've learned under the tutelage of Joshua Fabia.
Nice. And like you've mentioned recently, retirement from the UFC is on the horizon. Do you have a date in mind for your retirement bout, or an opponent, or location even? Preference?
I'm headed out to Vegas tomorrow, and I have a meeting with Sean Shelby. We're going to go over the list of possible opponents, possible dates, and possible opportunities. And so I'm excited to do that and move forward, and just get this this final fight in UFC. We'll see where it goes. If I go out there and I completely dominate and show the best Diego Sanchez ever, then it brings the question. Maybe I will do another one. Maybe I will finish the last two fights out of my career. But in the position that I'm in right now, I have to go and I have to prove to not only the UFC, but the world, my level of excellence and where I stand, and that I do deserve to, and because I do have a lot of great fans that are behind me, but I do also have a lot of loving fans who, are like, hey, Diego, why don't you step down? Why don't you give it up? Because, they're concerned about my brain health, and, the common person would like to say, hey, that guy's took 1,000 hits to the head. He's got to have brain damage. Well, the truth is, every case differs and varies, and the situations, they're all different people in different situations. I am healthy, and there has been some moments where I felt that I did have some possible side effects, memory problems and memory recall and certain things, but speech impediments and stutters and lisps. But as you can see, I'm here speaking with you, and I've been able to actually heal and get better at speaking.
Absolutely.
Do you and kind of going off that, do you feel like the new way that you are doing defense in the UFC and in MMA kind of contributes to that new health and the fact that you don't have any brain damage or anything like that? Do you feel like that new training style has helped you out with that?
Well, definitely. If I would have kept taking those major, massive traumas to the brain, yeah, I can only see it getting worse, and still going forward, like I have to be aware of, man, those guys can really hurt me, man, and especially some of the monsters that I've been going up against, like Michelle Pieta and
Right.
and number 5 Michael Chiesa. I've been facing some real monsters. Even Jake Matthews was the number 1 fighter out of Australia at welterweight, and he's a young stud coming up to 170 from 155. He's had great success. He's 26 years old. Pieta was 26 years old. Chris was 26 years old. So out of my 5 last fights, one of them's been number 5 in the world, and 3 of them have been 26-year-olds that are just super hungry, super talented, and outsized me by quite a bit.
So like we mentioned in the beginning, obviously you've been with the promotion for so many years. We've talked about your involvement over the years, but how do you feel the UFC as a company has evolved in the time that you've been there? And now that you're preparing to walk away, do you think the UFC is headed in a good direction?
The UFC is headed in its own direction. I'm gonna sit here and watch how this all plays out. I just understand that it's the fight business, man. It's the fight business, and there's going to be casualties in this sport of violence for sure. And so with those casualties, people are hurt and traumatized, and that's why I say to you, Caleb, like I had a talk with my dad, and my dad, about 11 years ago, he tried to talk to me and try to tell me, like, Diego, like, hey, I want you to retire because, I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to have these brain damages. And so, and to a certain extent, I'm like, I kind of wish I would have listened to my dad, like, because it is a very dangerous sport. And I think that there is a lot of other better things that young men can do instead of fighting. And I believe that there was other options for me that might have worked out a lot better for me.
And relating back to your career, do you have a specific fight or moment throughout your career that you think shaped you into the fighter and man that you are today?
No, it's the multitude of all of the experiences. I've had my good nights, I've had my great nights, and of course I've had my bad, sad nights, but like I said, man, it all comes down to doing the right thing. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And I've been the nightmare. And, I haven't only been the nightmare to those guys I beat in the cage. I've also been the nightmare to myself with some bad choices, some bad decisions. And going forward now in the future, I look back on those mistakes. And as I look back on those mistakes, I'm like, maybe if I would have made some better decisions, maybe I would have been UFC champion. Maybe I would have not got 700 stitches on my face. So life comes down to choices and decisions, and sometimes we think we're doing the right thing and we're not. And so I just encourage all you guys to ask yourself inside yourself, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing for me? Let me ask myself a couple times, maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times. Maybe I really give it some thought and think about it, because throughout my time and my experience, I made a lot of bad decisions just because I didn't think, being on the no plan, just going with the flow, flowing with the go, not controlling the flow.
All right. So, Diego, I want to switch gears a little bit. So before you, the legend in New Mexico, the nightmare grew in the 505 in Albuquerque. There was another legend that was, Albuquerque, New Mexico through and through. And that was boxing legend, the babyface assassin, Johnny Tapia. So for those of you that are listening or watching, for those that are not familiar with Johnny Tapia, code killer inside the boxing ring. 59-5 record with 30 knockouts. He held multiple IBF, WBO world titles at super flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight in the 90s and the early 2000s. So sadly, he passed away in 2012 at the age of 45. His legend has grown so big in New Mexico that Mickey Rourke and Tapia's widow, Teresa, have decided to produce a movie about the legendary boxer and have chosen you, Diego, to play the part of Johnny. I want you to introduce the name of the movie, if you would, and just explain to us how that all came about. And just speak a little bit on the honor and privilege, of getting to play a character like Johnny in this movie.
Well, the name of the movie is Mi Vida Loca, and what that stands for is My Crazy Life in English. And the way this came about is, New Mexico love. I knew Johnny. He was at my first pro boxing fight. Most people don't know that I have one pro boxing fight on my record. I won in a second round knockout. But Johnny came into the gym and he gave me a private lesson, worked with me on some things, tied a rope around my feet, and showed me a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But he gave me some hometown love. He was at the fight, cheering from the VIP section, just yelling and coaching. I could hear him. And I won by second round knockout. And unfortunately, it was a loss to everybody, the whole state of New Mexico and Albuquerque, especially, that when Johnny passed away in 2012. I connected with his widow, Teresa Tapia, and she started throwing some boxing events, and I knew someone that was affiliated with her event promotions, and they invited me to go out and just make an appearance, and me, being the guy I am, I'm like, all right, and this was 2 weeks before the Michelle Pieta fight, and they said, we're going to give you a room up at this Inn of the Mountain Gods. It's Mescalero Apache reservation in the mountains of New Mexico. And so as we were going out there, I was like, all right, I'm going to do 7-mile run at 7,000 feet altitude. And then after I'm done with my run, I'm going to go to the fights. And I'm gonna talk, do some interviews, talk about how I support boxing and how I support boxing, and not only because most people, they're either an MMA guy or they're a boxing guy, and me, like I said, I grew up watching boxing. I still love boxing, and so I wanted to do a pro boxing fight before I was signed with UFC. So when I got up there to the event, everything went well. I met Johnny Tapia Jr., which was Johnny's son, had a good time connecting, relating, and speaking to him on some of the wisdom that I've gained from my career, because he wants to be a fighter and he wants to make his professional debut soon. So in this connection, I connected with little Johnny Jr., and did some interviews with all the news and the media, just to help support Teresa in what was her debut as a professional boxing promoter. All right, and so this all went real smoothly. But when we got to the event, it was me and Joshua together, and when we got to the event, there were some things that needed some help. There was like a couple fighters, they didn't have a corner man. no corners. So, we had to jump in and corner a couple guys. There was a couple guys who didn't have their anybody to tape their hands, and Joshua just went to work, started taping hands, and then we started cornering people, and we did our part in helping Teresa, pull off the event. Austin Trout was the main event, and he won by knockout, and the event was a success. It aired on Impact TV network, and so going from there, there was some, how I said the fight business. The fight business is kind of a dirty business. It is a dirty business, and so there's shady things that happen. There's hustles that happen. There's cons. There's scams that happen. And Teresa, an innocent woman doing her first event, her first show. She was working with someone who was going to take advantage of her and was going to duck out on paying some of the people that he needed to pay in the morning. And this is a common thing in the fight industry. It happens sometimes. The boxing promoter or the fighter promoter that says, oh, I owe this guy, this, and then, everybody gets paid usually after the fight, but sometimes it pushes over till the morning. And so we're at the hotel in the morning, and, Joshua had figured everything out. He's a very wise man, and he figured it all out. And I was sleeping because I didn't know what was going on. I had my meal after the fight. I had run the 7 miles, and I was exhausted. I passed out. And Joshua came in the morning, and he was like, "Nah, Diego." He's like, "Get up." And he's like, "We got work to do." And I'm like, "Work?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "This ain't going down like this. I'm not letting Teresa get screwed right now, and she's about to get fucked. She's about to get fucked over." And so, we walked down to the casino, and we went to the valet, talked to the valet people. Hey, we took the guy's car keys. We're like, Joshua had to take him for a walk down by the lake. And you know what? The guy made some phone calls. Everybody got paid. And so this is where it all started with me and Teresa. And so now it's been established. We have Diego Sanchez Promotions working together to build some mixed martial arts / boxing events, even throwing some grappling in on the event too, professional grappling also. And so we got these events. We had some events planned for 2020, but obviously pandemic shut all that down. We actually did go down and do a boxing event down in Mexico. And it was what it was, but it wasn't a very lucrative experience. We got an event off in 2020, but it doesn't look like we'll be going back to Mexico to throw any fights, because the potential for opportunity and making some money, it wasn't down there. And so we're just moving forward. And in this relationship, Mickey Rourke, he had a film that he was filming here in Albuquerque. And while he was filming his movie down here, he was a very, very close friend of Johnny. And Johnny actually, when Mickey was going through some hard times in his life, Johnny actually took him up to the Santuario Church in Santa Fe, where it's this holy, sacred church, and rubbed the dirt on him and prayed for him. And they built a connection after that. And Mickey Rourke ended up cornering Johnny several times, and they became close friends. And so this is where the connection came. When Mickey told Teresa, I want to go see Johnny's grave, Teresa was like, Diego, Mickey wants to go see Johnny's grave. I was already friends with Mickey too. I had been talking to Mickey on social media for about 3 years privately. And so, 3 years, all the way back to 2013. Mickey hit me up in 2013 after the Gilbert Melendez fight, and he just wanted to congratulate me and tell me how the heart I displayed in that fight. And he was even Mickey was inspired by that competitive performance, being a boxer that he was. He was a professional boxer himself. And so, our relationship continued to grow, and Teresa, she pitched the idea at Mickey, because she knows, she wants somebody who could really relate to Johnny. And in a lot of ways, I can relate to Johnny with the traumas of the ring, the traumas of the of being a combative athlete in the highest forms, and even with addictions and everything. So they didn't feel like an actor could portray the New Mexican, because New Mexico is a different kind of place. It's we're the poorest state, and there's not a lot of opportunity out here. And if you truly do make it out, you did something right.
Yeah, and I know one of the things she said about you, and it's a huge compliment, and I'm paraphrasing, but she basically said that there isn't a better person to play Johnny other than you, unless it was him himself doing it. So that's just a huge compliment from her, obviously. And what does her support mean to you as you take on this role?
It means everything, because Teresa, this was her life, and it wasn't an easy one dealing with Johnny for her. It was a hard life, and I being her friend, I've witnessed her have to relive some of these experiences as all of this talk of the movie, and her doing her own private documentary. There's a lot there, man. And if you look into, there's a book, it's called The Ghost of Johnny Tapia. It's a good book. It will inform you a little bit on what this woman had to go through with Johnny and his addictions, and Johnny and his anxieties and his stresses, from losing his mother at the age of 8 years old, and never having a father, growing up in the gangs, and just growing up in Albuquerque, Albu crazy, and so, yeah, no, it's a great honor and a privilege to be put in this position. And yes, I'm taking it very seriously, and I'm excited to make this happen any way I can, because I don't want to let down. It's not even about about being in this potential huge opportunity for myself. It's really the opportunity for New Mexico to tell a story about a very special person that I knew personally. And I don't want to do his family. I don't want any actor to do his family wrong. I don't want to. I want little Johnny. I want Teresa, and I want Mickey, and I want all of the loved ones of Johnny to appreciate, the authenticity of what I'm going to bring into this potential opportunity that I have in front of me.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just changing gears real quick, and this one actually comes from our third member who is not here today, Keelan McNamara. He is from Ireland, and he wanted to know, because you hinted at a potential matchup between you and Conor McGregor, whether it's in the UFC or possibly bare knuckle boxing. Does that fight still interest you? Would you still be interested in doing that fight?
Absolutely. That's the one fight that I want. That's the number one fight that I want. That's the only fight that could entice me to dropping down to 155 for one last time. Conor fights at 70s too. So, we'll see where it goes. All I know is that Conor has respect for me. He's stated it in the media several times. And, that says a lot. And Conor wants to fight me, and it goes back to the start of the beef, when Conor was still fighting in Cage Warriors, and he was he was going on Twitter ranting and talking about Chad Mendes and Frankie Edgar and all of the amazing featherweights that were in the UFC at that current period of time. Jose Aldo, all of them. You know what I mean? And I was fighting at welterweight, and I'm the company guy at that moment. I was the company guy, the ultimate fighter. And I'm like, hey, Connor, like, cut your shit, man. Like, show some respect for these guys. You know what I mean? That's Frankie Edgar you're talking about. He beat Frank. He freaking beat BJ Penn. Like, just show some fucking respect. Show some class. And so, and so he didn't respond very well to that. Saying he'd love to slaughter me and that I was a fat ass and that he'd fight me at 170 any day. And the fight almost happened in Mexico City on 10 days not but Dana White was going to let him fight, but Lorenzo Fertitta said, "No, we're not going to put you in there with Diego yet."
So as far as you go, you fought from 145 all the way to 185. I know McGregor's gone from 145 to 170. Is that something you would recommend for people coming up, for younger fighters coming up, to try different weight classes, or would you recommend they find a specific weight that they feel best at and just make a run there?
Like I said, it's all depends on the fighter. It depends on the personality and the characteristics of the individual, to be honest. Some people need to eat and feel strong to go fight strong. Some people like to cut weight and feel bigger, and that's how they feel strong. So it all differs and varies, but I will warn all of the young fighters out there who are going to cut the weight and deplete themselves and minimize themselves and in essentially they're just weakening themselves to their weakest point as they're cutting this level of this amount of weight that is just 20 pounds in 3 days. This is 20. Some do 25, 30. I've heard some crazy numbers out there. But if you're in UFC and you have lost the ability to properly hydrate with an intravenous, you're not going to recover. Your brain is not going to recover from this type of dehydration. And this is when you see, and I know because I did it. Not too many people talk about this unless it happened to them the way it happened to me. I got real dehydrated. USADA came in. This is when I was fighting at 55s. USADA came in, and then it was like, no more IVs. All right. So now we got to figure out different ways to rehydrate. But when I went to Cerebrum Brain Health Institute in Dallas, Texas, they told me that no matter what, you take that much water out of your brain, it takes about 72 hours to replace it. So you're trying to do this on 24 hours, even with an IV, the doctor told me. He said, you're not going to be at 100%, and you're going to increase the chance of having a worse traumatic brain injury, which is a concussion. You take a hard hit, you have water in your brain, you have more resourcefulness to sustain and take that blow.
All right. Well, this is the last question that I have for you today. And whenever it is that you decide to call it a day in MMA, after it's all said and done, what do you want people to think of when they hear the name Diego Sanchez?
That's a good question. And I'll be honest with you. I'm still working on that right now. I'm still working on that. I'm not done. And what I'm going to do in this last part of my career, this is what I want people to remember me by. Not just by the blood, not just by the Gilbert Melendez performance where I'm pounding my chest and coming forward, taking shots that I didn't need to take. I want them to see a man that was that was just had the ability to adapt. Man, that's why I've been able to fight so long, is because I've been able to continue to adapt, and I'm in my final phase of adaptation. I'm in this new chameleon phase where I'm turning into, you don't know what color I'm turning into for this last fight. You don't know what kind of chameleon's coming this time. And all I know is that the chameleon is gonna come with everything that he has, because this guy right here, he's made some mistakes, and now it's time to go out there and do the right thing.
Absolutely, Diego, and that's it for me. I just want to thank you for coming on, giving us the time to speak to you. It's an honor, it's a privilege. Jack's gonna close us out, and then stick around for a few minutes afterward. I got a little something for you as well.
All right, thank you.
All right, and this is the close off thing. Here we go. Everyone, please make sure to like and subscribe. You want to say something real quick?
Yes, one more thing.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Tune into the IG. Check out the posts. We got a super fight. We got a super grappling fight this weekend.
Yes.
This Saturday, February 6th. It is going down. Me and Jake Shields, one of the most amazing grapplers that I've ever faced in my life. And we're gonna go down. It's for the High Rollers, BJJ, and it's on Pluto TV. So tune in if you got Pluto TV, and if you don't, follow and enjoy.
Absolutely. Everyone, please go watch that. Like and subscribe on here. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you can listen to a podcast. We are there. Please make sure to check us out on our Instagram at MMA Island and on our website, MMAisland.net. And again, it is an honor to be speaking with you right now. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. And you're a classy young man, and keep doing what you're doing and do the right thing. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.